Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Catherine Haleko and I'm here with Terri Morrow. Say hi, Terri.
Hello.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Terri and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change.
Yes, it is.
So this week, we're going to continue our discussion of The West Wing and Sports Night, but first, our Dancing with the Stars Halloween edition.
I think as they did the group dances last week, it was less tackly Halloween than it's been in the past.
Yeah, I actually thought it was mostly fun.
It was not bad. Lots of makeup and funny costumes, but the dancing was mostly good, I thought. And I thought this was the first weekend in which it seemed like Ryan was actually engaging. And, yeah, I mean,
and then
engaging in the process.
Do him any good.
It did not do him any good. I was looking forward to seeing him next week. Whereas it looks like Marilou has that sort of just shoot me look. It's like, I have to do this another week.
Well, you know who had that look, I thought, more than her was Derek.
Yes. There's
like, oh boy. Here we go.
This is not a partnership that has worked out. And apparently she specifically requested him and is probably thinking better of it now. But they do not look like they're having a good time.
Yeah, and he just didn't do a good job of hiding his disappointment that he was still stuck with her for another week.
Yeah. I felt that same way last week about Cheryl, but they rallied this week, And so it's kind of too bad. But, it's good to go out on a high note, I guess.
Although, I mean, their Halloween, their solo dance was okay, but their dance-off cha-cha was not really.
Yeah. Well, they were with Derek and Marilou for that, right? And theirs wasn't any hot stuff either. Both of them looked like they were just, oh my gosh, do we have to do another dance?
Right.
And they were having trouble staying on their parts of the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was surprised when Lori and Val got a perfect score so early, and it's like, well, that kind of takes the immunity off the table. And then 2 other couples got perfect scores. So perfect score for everybody, all around.
Yeah, I was having a little trouble understanding every week I have a problem understanding how the judging is working and the scoring and like why did James get immunity even though the other ones also got perfect 10s? It had to do with what their past scores were.
The highest cumulative scores. So of the entire competition.
For the whole season.
Yes, for the whole season. Okay. But it worked out nicely since
Shauna wasn't there.
I'm glad she's still there choreographing. I think that's going to be an important thing because she's been choreographing really well for him.
Yes.
And it would be nice if she was able to get back into it at some point. But my only worry with James is I think they were unclear about the immunity, and I think it's possible some people will think that he is safe and therefore they don't have to vote for him. Mm-hmm. Whereas, in fact, it just meant he couldn't go home this week. I think they were not clear when they said that. Because Tom Bergeron said something like, you have an immunity, but if you still want to vote for him, that's nice.
Right.
And I was even thinking at one point, well, great, I can take his votes and give them to other people. And then I realized, wait a minute. So I would hate for him to go home next week because nobody thought they had to vote for him. I wish they had cleared that up a little bit. I think they did him a disservice there. But
that is a good point.
It was not well explained, I don't think. But I really liked Lori and Val's dance. I thought the package was maybe a little over the top, but
what was that? All of a sudden, every other week, it's Val making her cry because she's not working hard enough or something, and then this week it was he's crying because he's so moved by her talents.
Yeah.
What?
It's not good enough for her. Yeah. One day I'll be a father. He seemed like designed to get 10s, and it worked.
Yeah.
Somebody on the live chat I was on was mentioning that Max did something very similar when he was partnered with Meryl, that he wanted everything to be perfect for her because she was so good and stuff. So maybe he's taking a page out of the family playbook. I don't know, but it seemed a little much. But she's so cute. I don't really care. And I thought their dance was very sweet.
It was
age appropriate.
It was sweet. No pun intended.
Yes. Exactly.
Since it was filled with giant candy
yes,
all over the stage.
And what did you think about Calvin's dance, which also got perfect 10s?
I didn't quite see that as a perfect 10, but I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was not my favorite of his dances. I've liked dances of his better that got worse scores. So it was just kind of his turn, maybe, or they wanted everybody to. It did not seem quite as much fun as they've been in the past. So I was wondering, because I know you've liked hers.
Yeah, I do like him, and he's still fun to watch. Yes. And you got to see his cute little kid.
Yes. I thought the face makeup on him and on James did not help. It took away some of the natural expressiveness, I guess.
That's true.
I really, really expected at some point during Calvin and Lindsay's dance that the lights were going to go off and those bones were going to glow in the dark. I was waiting for it. Didn't it look like that was what was supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Who else got the perfect score? Oh, I guess James and
Jenna dressed being Sharna, right?
Yes. So that was a good dance. They did good.
Yeah.
I'm not into that particular movie and characters and stuff, but okay.
Right, but he still just does such a good job that it's fun to watch him no matter what.
It really is. So
let's keep watching him.
So did you vote were you watching live? Did you vote for the little dance-offs?
No, I wasn't quite live enough. I was just behind enough that I couldn't do that.
It's really hard to tell whether or not it's bogus. But I voted for the couple I liked. And you could see, that it said you and then it says everybody else and which side. And those generally seem to go with what they said. So, but who knows? They could just be playing with it.
Right.
Does not inspire confidence. But I wish they could do something like that for real so that you could vote on the night you just saw. And somebody could go home based on what they just did.
Right. So it doesn't have to come up the next week and then it's confusing. And,
And I mean, I guess if you do that, you disenfranchise everybody who's not watching it live.
Right. Which tends to be me. So.
But I mean, people in California probably would be unhappy that everything was decided before they got a chance to even see it.
That's true. Yeah.
So I suppose that's also the reason. But let's discuss for a moment Julianne's hair. My husband came out. He walks through the room occasionally when this is on and looks at it. And he says, "Where is she, some guest judge for this week?" And I said, "No, she's there every week." And he goes, "She is? I don't recognize her." And I said, "Well, she doesn't have that stupid hair. She has different stupid hair every week."
Different stupid hair every week.
He goes, "Oh, yeah,
really does.
I remember her." So what the heck, lady?
Well, especially because, there was no associated costume.
No, just her normal 2 low-cut dresses.
Right. And Carrie Ann didn't have a costume. Yeah. And Bruno just had something on his jacket or something. So it was like, are you dressed up or not? And you're not. So then you don't need that weird hair situation.
Just wondering if this is just her way of having fun or if her stylist really, really hates her. But something is going on there. It's
got to be one or the other of those two things, I'm pretty sure.
Because the look is not good. Somebody needs to take her aside and say, "Sweetie, could you just be normal one week? Could you just come out in a dress and normal hair and normal makeup?"
Dress and normal hair.
What the heck, girl? So, who didn't we talk about? Tara. I liked Tara and Sasha's dance. I felt that got underscored. I liked that.
It was well done, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Just how into it she was, the whole Beetlejuice.
Yes.
I noticed. And the table and dancing on the table.
When they were practicing, she was having trouble getting up onto the table, and I noticed that when they did it, the cameraman focused on something else, and then all of a sudden they were on the table. It's like, okay, that's a way to finesse it. Did somebody just hoist her up there?
They gave her some sort of extra step or something.
Yes. They focused on a side dancer for a moment, and then all of a sudden they were on the table. So, they're working with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad they didn't go home.
So. Yeah. They were in either the real bottom or the
fake bottom. I really would have wished Mary Lou had gone home. I never thought I would want to see Ryan for another week, but I did.
I know, that surprises me.
It's too bad, but I think he accomplished what he set out to do.
Right, as they just flat out said.
As they said.
Would you ever have thought that
Yes.
you would be leaving here with people giving you a standing ovation? Nope. Like, yep, that was why that's why I came.
Nice work getting people to forget that thing, which we're now going to remind them of.
Right. So we have next week. Did they say? No, I always miss it if they say what sort of special thing it's going to be.
I don't think so, but it's getting down to few enough people that they can do all sorts of silly things. So I'm sure there will be some ridiculous pairing up of dancers or
and they haven't had this switch up yet.
Oh, yeah, they didn't mention that. I wonder if maybe they're not going to do it this time because of Tara.
Maybe.
I don't know. It seems like there might have been one time when they didn't do it because of something like that, because a particular pro needed to be with a particular star.
Right.
So I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see, but they haven't mentioned it, and it's getting kind of late to be doing that. It's going to be like the semifinals soon, so I don't know if they can do it at this point.
Yeah, I think they said that next week is the last week before the semifinals. Well, we will continue to talk about it until that mirror ball is awarded. But in the meantime, we move on now to sports night. Yes. I ended up only getting to 3 out of 4 episodes this week. So we are going to talk about those 3, which are A Girl Named Pixley, The Giants Win the Pennant, yeah, and The Cut-Man Cometh. Okay. So those were the 3 this time.
Yes.
And Girl Named Pixley, I was actually kind of surprised that Pixley returned in the very next one.
Yeah. Was it the very next one? I guess it was. I watched them all in a row, and so they're just all garbled up in my head.
Right. But, no, it was the very next one that started out with Pixley on a date with some other guy and Casey running into her in the park. And then in the third one, you find out that he gave her his number.
Yes. Well, I think we saw him do that.
Well, you saw him writing on her hand, and he said, why don't you give me your number? And she said, no. And then she said, well, you give me yours. And he's writing on her hand and says something like, well, I gave you my autograph or something. So I thought it meant he actually didn't give her his phone number. He just wrote his name. But that could have been just me.
I think she said, and you signed your name or something like that.
Okay.
So I got the impression that he had written the phone number. I didn't realize he was writing it on her hand until they were saying it later. I just thought he had like a piece of paper. I like the fact that they addressed, which I'm not sure they had addressed before, the fact that the dating plan, in addition to being stupid and nothing anybody would do and really kind of unfair to Casey, is also spectacularly unfair to any woman he goes out with.
Yes.
Because what the heck? That's exactly like he said. I'm just here because the person I love wants me to go out with people.
Right.
Who's gonna? I mean, unless he just needs to like put that on Craigslist. Hey, gotta go on 6 dates. I'm kind of famous. Do you want to go on a date with me?
Right.
But to actually, I mean, the whole reason for the dating plan was that you sincerely go out on dates. You have some experiences with other women, and then you're ready for a big relationship. There's no way you can do that gracefully. That's awful. No. That's awful to do. If you lie about it, it's awful, and if you say it, it's awful. And I'm glad they addressed that. And I'm glad she walked out on him. The fact that then she later on got his number and called, apparently, because Casey got a message. You know, can women ever just say, you know what, no, and walk away, and that's it? Do they have to be so charmed by these guys that one way or the other they're going to wind up with them?
Seems like not on this show. They cannot.
You'd never know that there was a guy writing this show, would you? It's
oh dear.
A complete shock. A little wish fulfillment there. But at least she's not doing it because he's badgering. Well, he did kind of badger her. You know what? It is part of the pattern. He came over, he broke up her date. He was talking to her, so.
Right.
It's a pattern. It's a Sorkinism.
Well, and the fact that he was on the date with someone else when he did all this.
That's pretty gross.
Pretty icky. Exactly.
Not such a catch, Casey. But
and then in the next episode, which is the one called "The Giants Win the Pennant," it's the whole thing where Dan finds out that Isaac was at this very famous game that happened in 1951. And then you find out that Isaac was at the game, but he missed the decisive home run because he was washing his hands in the men's room. And then somehow Dan tries to tie that to the dating plan. Like, that didn't really... I couldn't really follow.
Is Dana metaphorically washing her hands in the bathroom while Casey is...
Hitting
she
home.
has her chance at Casey? I don't know. Yeah, there was some rhetorical stuff going on around there. And at the end of, the episode that you didn't watch, at the end of that, there was something I didn't quite catch either. But I do think that I was glad Dan went and gave her a talking to, that it was stupid. They pulled in this thing about Casey and his marriage and having been made insecure and to feel like not himself, which I think would have been good to talk about a little earlier because it's been a long time since we've heard that stuff. They did mention that at the beginning, but it kind of seemed to be coming in from nowhere now. But this whole thing has been such a series of diminishing returns with we spent a whole season waiting for them to get together. Right. And then they never really did.
Right.
So, and apparently they're not. So, and then we had that little really, really uncomfortably sad scene with Dan's dad, played by Peter Riegert, which was, wow, what an ass. He's just awful.
Very, very, very uncomfortable.
And then especially when Dan tells the story later about having sat and watched boxing with them and they were both drinking their version of beer and it was like this bonding moment. And then he is just such a word I cannot say on a family podcast to him. It wasn't even like sort of a poignant, like Casey saying, we know he's really watching it even though he doesn't say it. I didn't get that poignant, I just can't connect with you, son. I got I really hate you and want to make things as uncomfortable for you as possible. How am I doing? Vibe.
Right. Well, and which called back to the whole thing about Casey being in therapy because of
Dan
him
being in therapy.
Like the Cut-Man, I can't tell them apart.
Yeah.
That episode with the Cut-Man, it was all this like silliness of the fight, being over in 7 seconds, so they had to fill, and but yet it came right on the heels of that scene with Dan and his dad. So it was kind of jarring.
It was. All of these episodes, I felt when they ended, I wasn't quite sure that they ended. It's like I had to wait to see the credits come up on Netflix. I had to watch one more set of commercials just to make sure because they just kind of stopped. Yes, I agree. And I have that same thing. Like, if I keep watching, it's just going to be commercials, right? So maybe I should. I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah. So, just to say a word about ABC's app, which I think we're both using to watch these. Nice of ABC to make all these old shows available. I'm very happy about that, and I am willing to watch the commercials. I get it. But I find that the app sometimes hangs up in the middle of a commercial. I mean, it gets stuck, and then you have to go out of the app and go back in, and then it starts the episode at the beginning, which means you have to watch another 6 commercials before it starts, and you can fast forward. Yeah. Work on that, ABC, because I was very close to just getting down my CDs or my DVDs and watching the rest of it that way. Because, bad enough to have to watch the commercials once. Don't make us watch them again. Yeah, that's happened to me before too. So, not nice. No. Not nice at all. So, anyway, those are the sports nights for this. I think they are. Are you still happy to be watching the sports nights, or are you looking forward to the end of this little rewatch? I'm torn because when they're good, they're so good, and then when they're annoying, they're annoying. But I'm a completist, so now that I've started, I want to finish. So it's not that painful. It's short. I'm not worried about it. There's usually a combination of good stuff and bad stuff in any given episode. So if you just hang on, it'll move on. Yeah, exactly. But I think that perhaps Felicity Huffman had Julianne Hought's hairstylist for this season. Have you noticed? What the heck? Yeah, I was actually in that last episode where she had the 2 little pieces of
sideways bangs going on that I was specifically noticing that.
Not a good look. And the sort of pulled into the back, but then bunched up like she has one of those artificial things underneath it to make it puff out.
The bump it?
Yeah. Not flattering.
No, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on.
Yeah. So moving on to West Wing. So going back just for a second to Sports Night. For next time, the 4 that we'll try to do are The Sweet Smell of Air, Dana Get Your Gun, And the Crowd Goes Wild, and the last one is called Celebrities.
Now, is that including the one we didn't watch this week? Sweet Smell of Air was the one we didn't watch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you've already watched that one.
I have already watched that, but I might watch it again.
You're ahead of the game.
Yes. I liked that one.
Good. So now on The West Wing, the episode that we watched along with the West Wing Weekly podcast was called The Lame Duck Congress. And this one is another Ainsley episode, Ainsley Hayes.
I had forgotten that we had another Ainsley episode this quickly. I thought she kind of disappeared for a while. Maybe after this one.
Right after.
This was a very good one, though. I really liked this one where she
There was
Sam.
There was a lot of, like, people telling off other people, like those big, like, speeches. Like,
yes. I enjoyed her just going around taking baked goods from people.
Yes.
And wanting to eat Sam's lunch and sort of metaphorically eating Sam's lunch. Yes, exactly. Right. That was, I wish I was somebody who could look like her and eat that much.
I know, right?
Yes, I would like that donut too. Could I have that donut? Except I would not look like Emily Proctor if I did that.
No.
I would look like the crayon drawing in the what's that the sitcom the
the American Housewife
that they showed 500 times on the ABC app with her crayon drawing of the like balloon shaped mom. That's how I would look if I ate as many carbs as Ainsley does, and yet it works for her.
Yeah, somehow it's working really well.
It's like one of those Sorkin affectations that he writes for female characters a lot of the times, and yet she makes it work. I mean, just like some silly thing that they do.
Oh, okay.
And in her case, it's just scrounging for food. But it worked for her, and I liked it. And I liked the line where I agree with on the West Wing Weekly where they were talking about was her asking to take the muffin, deflating of her rhetorical victory over the Republicans, or was it a coup de grace? I kind of think it was the second. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a last, I have defeated you, and now I am taking your...
Right. I will also take
your sweets.
I will also take your muffin on top of your dignity that I just took.
Exactly. So that was definitely the highlight. That was the whole Ainsley-Sam interaction. And then her at the end sort of being amazed that she affected policy just by disagreeing with Sam. So. Right.
Yeah. And we had the subplot of the Ukrainian guy who wouldn't leave the parking lot without, or the driveway without talking to the president.
Yeah.
And, what was the line that Leo had? Like, how you doing, Dalai Lama?
Or something like that.
Which was fun.
That was fun. Yes. And all Josh's trying to find a place to hide this guy and getting more and more frustrated.
Right. While he was sobering up.
Yes. And then he finally hoists him on Donna.
Right. But I did enjoy how Donna just went with it. And
I do.
Started talking to him about the plight of carpal tunnel syndrome.
She went with it. I liked her line, though. She said, "My value is that I have no value." And Josh says, "You have enormous value to me. You have no value to
the Ukrainian rogue politician, or whoever he is."
And I did enjoy the scene with Margaret and Leo, although you knew how it was going to go, where she's typing real slow because he was snotty to Donna.
Right.
He says, "Look at my face."
And that's the end of her typing.
Exactly. Suddenly she's typing fast. But it was as they mentioned on West Wing Weekly, it was sort of a filler episode, but a very enjoyable one.
Right. Even though, like, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty was a pivotal point in
kind
it,
of a downer.
somehow managed to be, a light version of that.
Yes, and Toby scaring the tourists.
So West Wing. And then on the podcast, they had a camera operator, which was kind of fun.
Yes.
Talking about how it works with doing the walk and talks, and the camera guys who basically have this like wearable exoskeleton that they use to shoot with. And so that you said that you had read something about that before, but I don't remember reading about it, so it was new to me. That's and it was cool. Fun to read about. And also the guy who does Aaron Sorkin, who has done some supercuts.
It's Sorkinism Supercut of all the different lines that are as we've commented, are repeated from one show to the next. So he just takes a clip of it being said in each of in his movies, in his TV shows, just like the same thing over and over. Right. It's really pretty funny, and I always assumed it was a tribute and not a diss. But you got a good line. I want to give it some life.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was the Lame Duck Congress this week on the West Wing. And the next one is called the Portland Trip.
Okay. Not one that springs out in my memory, but we shall see.
You'll find out.
Yeah. And
you can hear about it here next week. So next week we'll cover Dancing with the Stars, the semi-finals, or whatever it is they're doing. Sports
the
night
one where Mary Lou goes home is what I'm hoping it will.
Yes,
will be the
exactly.
theme. Derek is busy paying people off to make that happen right now, telling all his fans, "Cut it out,
stop it, don't vote for us." So that'll be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and our weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Terri.
Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, everyone.